Okay, a lot of you are recognizing, hey, I need a number line on the first one, but you're kind of combining everything all at once and confusing yourselves. So do it in two separate parts. The x plus 5, I know that cannot equal 0, right? The denominator. Okay, so that's one thing that I have to figure out. So I know x cannot equal -5. Everybody okay with that piece? Okay. Then the numerator, the x squared minus 9.
Oh, that's a 5.
That needs to be greater than or equal to 0. We factor. We make a number line. Some of you are putting the -5 on your number line and it's messing you up. Think of them separately until the end. So I'm going to have -3, 3. What should I use to test my number line?
0.
Okay, what does 0 give me? Negative, positive, which is negative, right? Will my number line alternate?
Yes.
Okay. We remember this stuff, right?
I didn't understand.
So looking at just this part of it, are you okay with what I'm doing shading-wise? Everybody's okay with those two separate pieces. Putting them together, I just need to now, this isn't a new number line, this is just making it bigger so you can see it. I have this part, right? Here, it's not -5, but it's still everything over here. Do you see how just the -5 pulls that one spot out? Okay. So then I have -infinity to -5 parentheses. -5 to -3 with a bracket. 3 to infinity. Sorry, that's kind of small.
Where did the square root go from the x squared minus 9?
Well, I just know what's under it has to be positive. I mean, if you want to write it with the square root, your first step would be squaring both sides. 0 squared is still 0, and then you'd be where I am. So it's what's under the square root that matters, and only even radicals that we worry about. Odd radicals, I don't care. Okay. Guys, number 2. Similar thought. That whole fraction. Now, we're going to say greater than or equal to 0, but what do I need to worry about there? Okay, so I've got these critical values here of -4, and what's the other one? 5/3. Okay, I know this one's a filled-in circle, and this one's an open circle. Does that make sense? Okay, test your region. What would you test? 0. Where does 0 live? Okay, what does 0 give me? All right, will it alternate? Yes. So what is my answer?
How do we know what it alternates?
If there's no...
So multiplicity is if you have like the quantity squared, and then it doesn't alternate. If you have even multiplicity.
Oh, so if it's like x squared plus 5.
Like if it had been like, oh, I wrote one somewhere. Maybe not. Draw a balloon animal. There you go. It's the end of your trig quiz. If you want to draw a balloon animal, go for it, okay? What's up? Okay. Do we understand those two domain questions, Sarah? What would make the numerator 0? So if I thought about setting that equal to 0. Okay. So it depends on what's in your numerator. If your numerator is like, let's say it's like x squared minus 5 over x plus 3. The only two things you ever look for, denominators of fractions and even radicals. Do I have a denominator of a fraction here? Denominator of a fraction? Yep. So I know x cannot equal -3. Do I have a radical? No. Radical means this thing. Okay, I don't have one of those, so I don't care about the numerator. But if my numerator is like square root of x plus 5, and this is x plus 3, now I care about the numerator too. I care about both. If they're both there, you have to care about both of them. Okay? What about this one? Is there a fraction? No. Is there an even radical? No. So your domain on this one's all real numbers. Those are the only two things you ever ask yourself about for domain. Is there a fraction? Is there an even radical? Those aren't there. Stop doing things. Just tell me it's all real numbers. Okay?
So, like I understand that's just why. Why equals to not.
On like the cubed one?
Yeah, just why to not.
So if you think about the graph of a cubic function, it looks like that. So do you see how that covers everything? Whereas the parent graph, like square root of x, not everything, right? Okay, and fractions, if it was like,
Oh, since we're basically just doing this graph.
yeah, you're doing a graph, but algebraically, like,
So it doesn't.
right, yeah. But it's only the radical and the fraction that don't have the domain of all the numbers. So, yeah. All right, and then at the bottom, those trig values. So guys, 10 pi over 3, that's like, yeah, that's in the third quadrant there. So what's the cosecant of that? That's the sine, so then what's the cosecant? There you go. Are we getting better at flipping that one finally? Last trig quiz day, we finally got it. All right, secant of negative 2 pi over 3. That's the same spot. Negative 2, yes. Tangent of 3 pi over 2. And cotangent of 11 pi over 6. Okay. Got it? And yes, if you finish early, flip it over and drop me a balloon. What? No, you guys get a minute and a half.
Can we a practice with this?
Maybe I'll be slow at getting the play button.
So one more second. Not one more second.
Alright guys, you can go by now.
No, listen.
Is there a...
Are we ready, guys?
Yes.
Good luck, go. Guys, on your own papers, guys. All right, guys, flip them over unless you have extended time. Draw me a balloon animal, okay? Where they like twist the balloon and a little dog and everything.
This is my balloon.
Interesting. Pass them over again. Yes. Yeah.
I start the first half. It ended up being like
All right, guys. No, we'll do it at the end of quiz time. You don't get to see the cumulative today, but like I can tell you your scores on the 5 sections.
Oh, you're gonna tell us the scores?
Set at the end. After notes, I want to finish notes first.
Are they in SIS yet or not?
No, that's the thing that takes me a long time to do because I record all of them and then I look at all of your second attempts and then I match up, wait, this was better, this was better, this was better, this was better. And I have to do that 5 times for everyone. So it takes me a minute. Yeah.
It'll be okay.
We're like not giving us
No, that's not really the answer. I mean, it would be a lot less paper and a lot less grading. But...
exactly. Don't you get kind of frustrated for taking it?
No. This is the world we're in.
Oh, we're in the sucks.
Julian, can you stop, please?
You know, every single bad thing that's ever happened has been in the world. Just that's not. That's not necessarily a bad thing.
So wishing for
No. Just notes, normal notes, right on paper. Dan, will you go ahead and just close your laptop? All right, guys, so f of g of x and f of g of x. 2 different notations here. They say the same thing. Yeah, the second one is not saying fog. That is f of g of x. Okay? Just like the first one is f of g of x. 2 notations, they mean the same thing. So like this is not goff, that's g of f of x. Just like g of f of x. You'll see them written both ways on your homework and stuff, so I want to make sure you understand they mean the same thing. It's like a little tiny circle, open circle in the middle. All right, first one, we're going to start easy. F of x equals 2x minus 7. Brilliant. Find f of negative 2. So guys, give it a try. Do you remember how composition works? All right, guys, what you get? Negative 11, yes. We remember f of negative 2. You plug the negative 2 in. All right. Yes. Have that somewhere, like, wrong color. It's fine. Find f of negative 2.
Oh, that was already good.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was like question 2, but I didn't even look at it.
Rest is number 1.
It's fine. On the other side, f of negative 2.
So yes, proper. All right, let's try it with just functions and functions instead of values. Let's just. All right, f of x is x squared plus 2x. And g of x is x minus 4. We are going to find f of g of x and g of f of x and state the domain. Let's do f of g of x together. So instead of substituting a number in, what am I substituting in? Yeah, like that whole thing gets plugged in, right? So I've got the quantity x minus 4 squared plus 2 times x minus 4. And then we just continue simplifying. So what is x minus 4 quantity squared? How about x squared minus 8x plus 16? I heard that something. Why what? Sorry. Like I'm doing this. Okay, that's right here. That's what squaring means, right? That times itself. So that's x squared. I see it. Don't forget about those middle terms. Okay.
Because you did it in the video, and I'm just like,
Weird. Yes. Multiplying. All right. I also have to distribute my 2 here, so I'm going to have plus 2x minus 8. So what is my final answer for f of g of x? No. Nope, you're just done there.
I like that.
Well, yay. Is, okay, so domain, is there a fraction?
No.
Is there a square root?
No.
Okay. Yes, and now guys, we also, it's not going to change our answer on this one, but every single time when you're finding domain, the first thing you do is look at the inside function. What I mean by that is the one you plugged in. So in this problem, what do you think the inside function is? Right, the g of x, the x minus 4. You start there to see if there are any domain restrictions. So you look at that function. Is it a fraction? Does it have an even root? If that's not there, then there's no restrictions. Okay, so no restrictions from g of x, no restrictions on f of g of x. So our domain on this one is just negative infinity to infinity. But every time you're doing this, start by looking at the inside function. And we'll get to some where that actually matters. Okay, it obviously didn't really matter here, so. All right, you guys try g of f of x in the domain of that for me. It is not super complicated. Don't make it harder than it is.
Everything.
Good. But you don't need to.
Oh,
You just simplify and you're done. All right, guys, what'd you get for g of f of x? Yep. And what is your domain? Yep. Okay, again, we're starting fairly easy, but I want to make sure we get the process on the easy ones. Okay. Questions so far?
That's not a question. What's cracking up?
Wow, we're having fun out there.
I know it's open.
No. All right, let's try again. We'll take a step up here. F of x equals x over x minus 1. Yeah, as I said, they're going to get a little trickier now. And g of x equals x squared minus 1. Same directions here. Find f of g of x, g of f of x, and the domain. Okay? You guys want to try?
yeah. Do we have to factor?
Like, yeah. You can if you want to, but it doesn't matter.
You said it's
Check in with your neighbor. Do you agree? Which is the inside function?
the g of x.
Are there any domain restrictions on g of x?
No.
Cool. Then just do the rest of the problem and look and see what the domain is at the end. But you start with any restrictions on the inside function.
So it's only if you like the inside function.
So would it be all real numbers?
Well, then you do the whole thing and you look at the end and go, okay, does that have any restrictions? Like when you actually, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So if there's no restrictions, then it's just naturally all the
That's what we mean by no restrictions, is that it's everything else, everything.
So for the last
The denominator, yep. Yep, good. Like the number line thing? No, that's only if it's a square root and you can factor what's under the square root. No square roots here.
But if I can get the main, what is the main?
I mean, yeah, you could do that. Like x cannot equal.
Well, because I have it as x squared minus 2
Okay, yeah, so you get plus or minus. Yep, that's it. You can do it, Fortune. Give you another minute here to finish up your discussions in domain, and then we'll go through it. Got it, man?
See, I don't really understand the fraction part.
Did you plug g of x into f of x yet? You got to do the composition. Bless you. Welcome to allergy season.
x squared minus 1.
You could leave it as x minus 1 quantity squared, or you could multiply it out. Either one's fine.
So I would have it
If you did that, yeah.
so it would be x squared over x squared.
Minus 2x plus 1. Plus 1, I think, yeah. All right, guys, let's do f of g of x. Then I'll give you a minute to finish up the other one. I am plugging this entire thing in everywhere there's an x. So it is x squared minus 1 over x squared minus 1 minus 1. So that is x squared minus 1 over x squared minus 2. So that is your f of g of x. Domain. Okay, so start with the inside function, which was g of x. Were there any restrictions on g of x? No. Okay. I did my work here. I got this fraction. Are there restrictions based on this fraction? Yes. Which part of the fraction do I worry about? Yeah, the denominator. So that x squared minus 2, that cannot equal 0. So what does that mean?
X squared can't equal 2.
Yeah, x cannot equal plus or minus root 2. So your lovely domain will be negative infinity to negative root 2, parentheses, union negative root 2 to root 2, union, parentheses, root 2 to infinity. Tedious to write, yes. But, what'd you say? Does it matter if the numerator is 0? Like, is that okay, or does that? Yeah, that's okay. Just remind yourself over and over with domain, the only two things you worry about are denominators of fractions and even radicals. If it's not a denominator of a fraction or an even radical, it just, no restrictions, it doesn't do anything. Okay? No. Right. Yeah, if it's in the denominator, then we care. But otherwise, we don't care. Yeah. Yep. You guys can see why 9-1 had to come before 9-2, right? Yeah. Okay, guys, we only have 5 examples, so let's. Oh, I skipped. Sorry, I didn't do G of. It's the part 2 of all of them. Okay. G of f of x. Did you guys try it already? Yes? Some are done? Okay. Scroll. All right, so x over x minus 1 quantity squared minus 1. Are we okay with that? Okay. Squaring a fraction, it's not that bad. What do you do, though? Okay, so the numerator is going to become just x squared. If there wasn't that minus 1 next to it that we're going to have to do something with, you could just leave the denominator as x minus 1 quantity squared. But because that minus 1 is there, I'm going to actually multiply that out. What do I get when I multiply it out? Okay, good. We're much better at that. Okay, the minus 1. Can I just kind of like smush it into the fraction?
Why not?
We can. So I need a common denominator. So I have to multiply by this whole thing. Okay. We're going to write this as one fraction. So the x squared is just there.
Why is x squared?
That's the denominator. All right, so here, the thing you have to be really careful of with a lot of these problems are your signs. I am distributing a negative 1 through all of this. So negative x squared, then it's going to be plus 2x, and then minus 1 at the end. Do we see it?
Shouldn't that just cancel out x, right?
Yeah, I'm just writing all the steps, make sure I don't leave anybody behind here. Now the denominator, you can leave x squared minus 2x plus 1. You can take it back to x minus 1 squared, quantity squared, I don't care. So I get 2x minus 1. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it as the factored form. But again, it does not matter. Totally fine if you left it multiplied out in the denominator. The only reason I do this is to make sure I can see the domain.
So you should calculate it, doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, it's just easier to see the domain when it's factored. Because you have to figure out what would make that 0, and in factored form you can see it a little easier. Okay, so first I start with the inside function. What is the inside function? If I can get all the way back up here. F of x, right? Oh my gosh, we're almost there. So what can x not equal? 1 from the original. What can x not equal from my lovely 2x minus 1 over x minus 1 squared? Still 1, right? Okay, nothing new was added, so the only thing x cannot equal is 1, so your domain is negative infinity to 1, 1 to infinity. All right, let's pause there for a second. Questions? Anything you want me to re-explain or go over again? Yeah.
So why do you not set the factored form to not use it?
That's what I did. So it's really that.
No, like the x squared.
Oh, okay, the multiplied out form? You can do it that way.
Oh, since it's factoring, so it's something that we
It's just to like cut a step out, but. All right, anything else, guys? All right, let's keep going. All right, guys, this one is the trickiest one of the day. Okay, guys, there's your f of x and your g of x. You are finding f of g of x and g of f of x, okay?
I got some.
Try f of g of x for me first.
Yeah, we did.
I'll give you a few minutes. I'll write the answer up here. We'll see if you got it.
That's it. That's the way I was.
So,
I'm gonna see it. Whoa, wait.
James, do you need paper? Steal Tyler's. There you go.
Can't you take it? That's what's going to be.
No, I literally just.
Guys, I'm going to write it up here. Don't look until you're ready. Composition.
Oh, I just listen. I got lost. I did this.
it just took a long time.
I didn't do the old enough.
Really?
Okay.
It took up my whole paper.
Yeah, those are Oh, shit. Oh,
Okay.
I got it.
I'm your biggest fan. That was like Justin Bieber. But that's actually cool.
Yeah. No, I didn't actually. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
Can you read this?
I can't read it.
I got it.
Oh, you didn't read it tonight? Oh, I can't.
Here's what I
Oh my
got.
God, my mom.
No, I know it.
I didn't, but I no, yeah, no, I
Into the bad.
Okay, your denominator.
I should say.
This is the key.
That was the most unpredictable period of time. Everyone was like, text you, text you. That's step one. Okay, so,
It's okay, it's good, it's good.
yeah.
It's going on.
Oh, okay, I bet you must have time. Be careful with your negatives.
No, he's very
I was like, yes. Let's, there we go. Let's go on side.
Yep.
Sign yourself really. Muscles go on.
Yep. And then just simplify. You got it. Gotta be on it. They're good.
Now I just understood that. So, she just figured that out.
Okay. It's better now than
Classic. What did I say? He said I'll see.
No, I continue. Nah, man. You be taking them.
That's the hardest thing.
No.
Bad things are your very close.
Guys, do the GFF of X if you haven't already.
We're not turning to domains. Once I do this, am I taking the feels like am I doing negative X? Does not include the sound.
And?
Okay, and I'm also doing that.
Yes. Yep, those two pieces. Guys, let me go through the F of G of X just to make sure we're okay. Scrolling is terrible. So guys, you need common denominators all over the place. Yeah, just to make sure we're good. Guys, from this step, do you see how the 2x minus 1s will cancel? Like the flipping and yes, you can just do that. And we will get negative 3x plus 2. We will get negative x plus 1. That is the composition part. Anybody, any part of that that you're like, what the heck is happening? The x minus 2x plus 1. So right here, this x is this x. And then negative 1 times 2x, that's the negative 2x. And negative 1 times negative 1 is this. Oh, it's this? Okay, 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then plus 1 is 2. Alright guys, then domain. 2 parts you have to look at for your domain. From the end answer here, what can x not equal based on my final composition? 1. Okay, then up above, which of the 2 functions do I look at? g, the inside one. So x cannot equal 1 or 1/2. So negative infinity to 1/2, 1/2 to 1, 1 to infinity.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, Mr. How is it 4 1/2?
Okay, what's the inside function?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's that piece. Don't forget that.
Okay, got it. That's
Guys, if you are struggling with that, you can also just look at the very first step. Any denominator that creates in the first step is a problem. Yeah, so. All right, g of f of x. Did you do that yet? It is easier. You are correct. C. So x minus 2 over x minus 1 over 2 times x minus 2 over x minus 1 minus 1. Good with step 1? Chris, you got it? Tyler? All right, x minus 2 over x minus 1. I don't have to do anything with that. That just is. Now, multiplying by 2. Remember, that is 2 over 1. So you don't take numerator and denominator times 2, just numerator. So that's 2x minus 4. And what am I doing for common denominator here? X minus 1? Okay. I know, you're trying to look back at your work. You're like, I don't know. So 2x minus 4, then it's going to be minus x plus 1 all over x minus 1. What will cancel? X minus 1s are going away. So I've got x minus 2 over what's left in the denominator there. X minus 3. Okay. So that is your composition domain. Okay, from that, just because I don't want to scroll up yet, what can x not equal? What's my restriction? 3. And then from up above, which function do I care about? Yep, the f of x one, so it also cannot equal 1. So... Questions? Good. One example left next. Slide. All right, guys, one more time. This time, f of x equals x squared. G of x equals the square root of x plus 1. Okay, you guys try these for me. Find f of g of x in domain. Find g of f of x in domain. The composition, I think, is easier on these, and then domain, you just got to think about it because you have a square root. Ready, go, guys. James, Tyler, ready, go. James, phone in your bag, not just in your pocket.
Mr. Lane, so would it just cancel out the square root?
Squaring it? Yes.
Or just cancel out the x minus 4?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Again, the composition part's very easy. Think on your domain, don't mess that part up. No.
it's just square root again, so square root of x.
No.
Oh,
Okay.
no, yeah. Oh. No.
Do those both work?
I mean, they're not equal.
Yes.
They are not equal. Which one's right?
The bottom half. I mean, the top one. I mean, I don't know.
They're both right.
What's the question?
They are not both right. The square root of 9 plus 4, is that the same as this, or is it this?
Yo, I don't know why I turned on. Listen, nothing is in the bottom. It's the bottom.
Okay. Exactly. So think about it. Let's do another one. Square root of 25 plus 4. That is the square root of 29, right? Okay. 5 plus 2 is not the square root of 29, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you cannot take square roots of parts. If it's square root of 25 times 4, sure, that's 5 times 2, like that works. But plus, nope, does not work. Okay. So, cautionary tale for you doing one of these.
So wait, square root of x squared plus
Give me another minute, then I'll go through it. Domain also, guys, find your domain.
Wait, no, maybe you did. I'm confused. What's it for g at n? Because it's just a square root.
It's you just really like it. X plus.
Yeah.
I think.
And then that's also it's even out of it. It has to be greater than 1. So it has to be
And then
x squared plus 1 is greater than or equal to 0. Minus 1 and square root is square root. Right?
plus or minus.
Yeah, plus or minus square root.
So I do this one. The square root's extending over that.
The first part, yes, the domain.
Oh, yeah.
Domain's the hard part.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I have to solve.
0 plus 1.
Well, this right here, does this give us any
Wait,
restrictions?
so
No, it's all numbers.
I don't know, but we have to look at the inside. Look at, yeah.
oh, wait.
Negative.
No.
Wait, I just got this one. That means there's more to this.
So inequality. Yeah, it'd be not negative numbers.
It has to be
So
greater
you have
than
to set up x plus 1 is greater than or equal to.
Oh, because it's, oh.
But there's no like number line or anything required, it's just like basic.
it goes.
Oh, because the radical uses a little like triangle thing, and the other one doesn't, right?
Triangle thing, you mean on this thingy? Okay, yes, the alligator mouth?
Yeah.
Is that where we were? Yes.
Sideways part of it's like I did that, right? Because
I think
that, because it goes for that.
Yeah,
So
that doesn't work, does it?
Because only one way that's older. This is
Am I wrong? I don't know what I did
No,
wrong.
that's fine, that's the one with the
So you got right. So
And that's why I was confused, because I'm.
That's an imaginary number, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So is there any number that when I square it and add 1 to it, I get a negative 1?
Plus or minus.
No.
So wait.
I just find like
It's a tricky one. That's what I was saying. Domain's the tough part on these two.
I did the domain in here, right? Because the only one that it is that one.
Greater than
This
one.
is right. That is not what this is. Because we only want the average. So we gave me like less than and
and
greater
that.
than. All right, guys. Domain here. Am I right that we're okay with the composition on both parts? Guys, up here. Let's finish. Okay. Having a debate. Sorry to interrupt. All right. Are we okay with getting to just x plus 1 on the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Domain. So that answer, does it have any restrictions?
No.
No. What else do I have to look at?
Well, G is X.
G of x, the inside function. Does g of x have any restrictions?
Yes.
Yes, it's a square root. So that x plus 1 must be greater than or equal to 0. So my domain is bracket -1 to infinity. Okay? We see it? Okay, second one. If I look at the inside function on the second part, f of x, there's no restrictions on that. So I just have my answer here. There is a square root. The concern with square roots is negative numbers under it. If you think about this, if I square a number and add 1 to it, will it ever be negative? No, because what happens when you square a number? It's positive, and if I add 1 to it, it's more positive. Okay, so your domain on this one is all real numbers.
Oh, great. Oh, it's really
The other way you can think of it, if you set up the inequality, did you guys write like x squared plus 1 greater than or equal to 0?
Yeah, and we like get the square root of 1 on the number line.
Well, but it's not the square root of 1, it's
Plus
the
or minus.
square root of -1, right?
Yeah, I was like, IR.
That's I, right? Yeah, okay, so clearly we've got problems here. The other way you can think about it, x squared plus 1, what is that a graph of? A parabola that's shifted up 1, right? Like it looks kind of like that. So is it ever below the x-axis? No, so it's never negative. Okay, so that one's a like use your brain a little bit kind of thing. My brain is done.
Is that the last example?
That is it for now. So on your homework, it's a worksheet.
No.
I don't want you to do all of them. Okay? I don't want you doing both for each problem. It's just, it's easy. Okay? So take f of g of x or g of x. And guys, use your time, get it done. Quite a few of you still have delta math from 9+.
No, that's
Well, you
It's okay, because
This is do after grade.
is that your, did you just find your dog? Dude, my job that I want to do changes every year. I want to be a worker, and I want to be a kid. I don't really want to be a scientist.
no way. No way.
I know nothing is doing
All right, guys. I will show you your 5 scores. So what I showed you is still 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then the cumulative overall. Now, if your second attempts were better than these, that's what will go in the grade book, like INSYS as your final thing. If these are better, they will go in. Okay, so I'll just walk around and show you.
No.
Oh, I can't do that.
Yes, I You don't have to write this.
I think grade is the bigger picture.
What's the sequel seal?
No.
No, so you simplified and got to here. Okay, if you look at that doesn't have
Yeah.
And so then I helped him. There's some this one. I remember I had my brother was like
What would be the fun?
yeah, so the final I mean, those restrictions. And if they. I hate them. They're really great.
You can't do this today.
No, I saw
Oh, but only the best attempt was there.
So if your second attempt was better, that was it.
But I think it was worth it.
Yeah, that's the big one I know.
Oh no!
Yeah. Yes. So are you doing pizza or not? Okay. So you you're done with school on like May 5th or something. So you're seeing whatever assessment you're starting That's why we're just doing I don't know. Probably so if your second attempt is higher, you don't. Where is the score?
I didn't know.
So I would actually bring this fork factor. Remind us that.
But I can't do that in my, but I can do
That's like alarm bells going off. Go factor, go factor.
Yeah,
So like that's just the answer.
That's the episode. Yeah. So Ricky, yours is done. Okay.
I didn't even see it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did I miss anybody?
Well, you didn't miss me.
Okay.
I remember my question I was going to ask you last week.
Okay.
On the school board, that's the one that you did. You have so much else fun, like, you actually, it's interesting, you guess that question, what's that feeling? Yeah, like, one of the questions that I think is really, I said it was very good, I thought it was
Literally right. Literally right. Alright, so it was like you're looking at the top of the tower and you find thousand or something. Then you have to find like zero point so how would you set that up? I think I set it up like this.
You'll get to see it.
That's so
Which one? Okay, so I'm circling that. I'm like, how do I go to This one you need to set up a number. Oh, I'm so good.
You guys are very good. I'm trying to already feel like here. Different than your
Okay.
Oh, you know what I'm saying?
Guys, let me post the key for you so you can check things too.
I never got it.
Oh, you didn't get a worksheet?
I was gonna tell you anything more pictures, but I forgot.
We're just sitting and
You're sitting with nothing.
What?